Lisa, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Stranda. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us. You guys are
Hello,
the
Lisa. I
real.
came across the video on my For You, and I thought to share where pan-colored people are having emotional breakdown, talking about how, oh my God, black people or all the other people are always blaming them for all of the things happening. Like, these people really want to be oppressed so much. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not share this video? Leave a thought in the comment section and let's dive into it.
Only white people are not allowed to love themselves, love their race, and love their countries. Everyone else is. White people are the only ones who could do it. If anyone else flies a flag or says we're from wherever, or we're this color, or we're this religion, we want it, it's fine. When white people do it, it's instantly demonized. White people are the only people who are expected to give up their land.
My name is Mario, and I'm tired of the bullshit. Conservatives always say the shittiest things, especially if you're a mouthpiece for white supremacy. Now, I live in a medium-sized city, and in this city, there are Irish neighborhoods, there are Italian neighborhoods, there are Polish neighborhoods, there are Jewish neighborhoods, there are Bosnian neighborhoods, the list goes on and on. And you have organizations like the Polish Falcons and other ethnic organizations. And in these neighborhoods, you see flags on the houses from these European nations. You see the fire hydrants decorated like the flags from these European nations. You see murals on the walls of flags from these European nations. You see, the problem isn't that European Americans aren't able to celebrate the heritage that they gotten from their countries of origin. That's not the problem. I mean, hell, we got the Scottish Games in certain parts of this country here. There are parades in this country to celebrate people from different European heritages. The problem is that whiteness as a racial group, as a racial category, has always been about exclusion and supremacy. This is not the same as not being able to celebrate European heritage. Usually, if white people are celebrating whiteness, it's at the expense of people of color, black folks, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans, the list goes on and on. The trouble comes because your white pride is predicated upon racism. Pure and simple. And this notion that Europeans are the only people who have to quote unquote give up their country is bullshit. First of all, the control and administration of these countries are always going to be European for the foreseeable future. And this doesn't matter who the prime minister is. It doesn't matter who the president is. It doesn't matter whatever head of the country there is, chancellor or whatever. Because the for real power apparatus and the number of people in powerful positions in these countries are always going to be white. Now, contrast this with places like South Africa, India, and Hong Kong, where a white minority ruled those places for a very long time. They were the people sitting in all the positions of power. And even right now, as we speak, even though the head of state in South Africa is a black man, most of the powerful in South Africa are still white people. The richest people in South Africa are still white people. The people who wield the power in South Africa are still mostly white. And don't get me started on colonization. It seems to me that the only people who had to give up their country is people of color. Anyway, please like, follow, and y'all be peace.
White people still don't get why uncontacted tribes want nothing to do with them. And it's embarrassing. White people love to act like they are the bringers of civilization, yet their entire history is proof that they are completely incapable of understanding why isolated tribes want nothing to do with them. They approach uncontacted peoples like they're characters in a National Geographic special, not actual societies. They assume everyone wants progress, even when progress means disease, land theft, and cultural destruction. They act shocked when tribes react with hostility, despite centuries of white arrivals resulting in death and disaster. They still try to make contact, convinced that these people need their help, despite all of history suggesting otherwise. At some point, we have to ask, if white people were truly the most rational and intelligent civilization, why can't they understand that some groups just want them to stay the hell away? Every time white people discovered a society, it ended in death. The first European explorers didn't discover new lands. They showed up, spread disease, and took everything. Wherever white populations went, indigenous people were wiped out by measles, smallpox, and influenza. They enslaved, displaced, and eradicated entire civilizations, and then wrote history books calling it exploration. These isolated tribes aren't ignorant of history. They know exactly what happens when outsiders arrive. The Taino welcomed Columbus, and within 50 years, their population was nearly extinct. The Aztecs and Incas initially tolerated the Spanish, only to be betrayed and slaughtered. Native Americans that allied with Europeans were still wiped out by land grabs and genocide. Even in modern history, tribes that made contact were often relocated, Christianized, and stripped of their way of life. Why do contacted tribes attack white intruders? Because history says white people showing up means death. White people keep trying to help people who don't want or need it. They see uncontacted tribes as primitive, rather than fully functional societies. They assume these groups are suffering, despite them living just fine for thousands of years. They push Christianity, technology, and Western education, as if these tribes were just sitting around waiting for a savior. They ignore the fact that many contacted tribes were forcibly relocated, stripped of land, and thrown into poverty. Meanwhile, uncontacted tribes are doing just fine, without white progress. They have sustainable lifestyles that have kept them alive for generations. They know how to survive in their environment better than any outsider. They don't want or need money, modern politics, or globalization. They are rejecting outsiders because they've seen what happens when white people civilize others. White people aren't bringing progress. They're bringing destruction, and tribes know it. White people get unalived for approaching tribes and still don't learn. Missionary John Allen Chau illegally tried to make contact with the Sentinelese in 2018 and was promptly brought to justice with arrows. The Sentinelese, one of the last truly uncontacted tribes, have violently resisted outsiders for centuries. White explorers have been attacked, driven out, and even eaten by tribes that wanted nothing to do with them. And yet, despite all this, white people still try to reach out, convinced they can be the one to make peaceful contact. Meanwhile, the Sentinelese and other tribes are just protecting themselves. They have seen what happens when outsiders arrive. It never ends well for the tribe. They know that even small interactions could introduce deadly diseases. They don't need white saviors. They need white people to leave them alone. White people aren't being met with hostility because these tribes are barbaric. They're being rejected because history proves they're dangerous. White people still think everyone wants to be like them. They assume that because they see progress as good, everyone else must too. They refuse to believe that people can be happy without Western technology, capitalism, or religion. They push Western ideas of civilization while ignoring that these tribes have survived for centuries without them. They can't comprehend that some people don't want their way of life and will fight to protect their own. Meanwhile, uncontacted tribes have their own systems that work for them. They have social structures, practices, and traditions that are suited to their environment. They don't need or want modern industry, schooling, or white religions. They reject outsiders not out of ignorance, but because they are actively defending their own survival. White people aren't being seen as liberators. They're being seen as a threat, because they always have been. White people still think they're discovering things that have always existed. They act like uncontacted tribes are lost, despite the fact that they know exactly where they are. They try to map and study cultures that have been living successfully for generations. They frame remote societies as exotic mysteries, instead of just leaving them alone. They treat tribes like relics to be documented, instead of people with a right to live undisturbed. Meanwhile, these tribes know exactly what they're doing. They deliberately avoid outsiders because they understand the danger. They have traditions, skills, and knowledge that outsiders don't respect. They aren't waiting to be found. They are actively resisting contact. White people weren't discovering the world. They were crashing into it and destroying everything in their path. White people still don't get why uncontacted tribes want nothing to do with them. And it shows. Every time white people made contact with indigenous groups, it ended in disease, destruction, and genocide. They keep trying to help groups that don't need their interference. They ignore warnings, get attacked, then act surprised. They assume everyone wants to be like them, when they clearly don't. They still frame uncontacted tribes as waiting to be discovered, instead of just respecting their autonomy. White people didn't bring civilization. They brought catastrophe. They weren't helping these tribes. They were threatening them. If white people were truly the most intelligent civilization, why have they spent history ignoring every sign that says stay away? Cope. Okay guys, no more reintroductions, alright? There's no time. Just go to the bio and get out of here ASAP. White people have always had the most advanced diseases of all time, and history proves it. No one innovates illness like white people. While other societies managed parasites, injuries, or tropical fevers with traditional medicine, fasting, herbalism, and kin-based care, white societies were out here evolving disease into an art form, turning dysfunction into identity, and treating sickness like a feature, not a bug. This isn't just about being sick. This is about developing the most complicated, advanced, uniquely self-inflicted disorders on Earth, and then acting surprised when the treatments didn't work. Medieval Europe is where they turned God into a doctor, and disease into class aesthetics. Plague, of course. Leprosy, standard. Chronic skin ulcers from poor hygiene. Parasites from never washing linen. Gout as the official rich man's flex. But they went further. They didn't just get sick, they made it philosophical. Upper-class white men turned constant illness into proof of spiritual sensitivity. Delicate constitution became a mark of nobility. That's why Charlie Kirk gets away with it today. And by the 1400s, they had so many mysterious conditions that entire cities became centers of pilgrimage for psychosomatic malaise. Compare that to societies in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, where they linked disease to balance, food, season, and spirit, but never a personality trait. Europe, sick was style. The Enlightenment and Empire, the golden age of complicated self-inflicted disease. This was the era where white people took simple disorders and turned them into epic, multi-organ crises. Mercury poisoning from medicine, lead poisoning from plumbing and face powder, arsenic-induced anemia from literal fashion, tuberculosis as a lifestyle choice, syphilis so untreated and widespread, they blamed it on foreigners, prostitutes, and witches. They weren't dying from war. They were dying from preservatives, textiles, and their own house paint. And when they colonized the world, they brought smallpox blankets, typhoid-infested water, rats, STDs, coughs with no cure, and invasive bacteria from their unwashed trench coats. They weren't hardy. They were walking labs for airborne disease. The Victorian era is where disease became gendered, bottled, and sold. By the 1800s, the white world had industrialized disease. They didn't just get sick. They created entire industries to market, sell, and categorize it. Women were diagnosed with hysteria, wandering womb, and nervous fatigue, aka nutrient deficiency, depression, and sexual repression. Men got melancholia, neurasthenia, and tobacco-induced heart murmurs. Medical conditions included milk leg, a postpartum blood clot named by men who couldn't describe anatomy, railway spine, early whiplash from Victorian train rides, chlorosis, iron deficiency that was aestheticized as green sickness, and they treated all of it with laudanum or opium, cocaine wine, bleeding, and vibrators controlled by foot pedals. The diseases were advanced. The treatments were insane. The patients were miserable, but composed. And today, the tradition continues. White societies are still the epicenter of complex, chronic disease clusters, such as autoimmune disorders, neuroinflammatory symptoms, psychosomatic pain, hormonal imbalance linked to diet and chemical exposure, and brand name psychiatric conditions treated with alphabet soup prescriptions. They don't just get sick, they require documentation, diagnosis, and 3 specialists. And it's always untraceable. Gut biome collapse, allergies to air, adrenal fatigue from capitalism, TikTok PTSD from something their great-grandfather did. Every white illness is a medical thesis with no resolution. White people have always had the most advanced diseases. They industrialized dysfunction. They made illness fashionable, then weaponized it across continents. They built pharmaceutical empires around problems they caused. They invented diagnoses for their own system, breaking under the weight of their own lifestyle. So the next time someone says they're managing 6 overlapping conditions and trying a new supplement protocol, ask them this. If you invented modern medicine, why is your body still reacting like a 14th century alchemist just kissed you on the mouth? Cope.
Like seriously, lovelies, this is just giving Operation Pro Max. Like nobody's actually stopping anyone to celebrate or hang flags anywhere you want to do that. But the thing is that what actually comes with it. Like the thing is that you people is a bit the level of reasons that you do not even know that you are exhibiting it. Like this particular stage reminds me of a stage where a plant colored man was actually calling out someone that looks like me and calling them Ray and sis. But they were the first people who began this discriminatory thing. And when you want to question them, when you want to call them out about how they treat you, this is when they will turn the table around and try to tell you that you are the one that is being racist towards them. This is just it. Nobody is actually, against you, or nobody dislikes you, but it's just that the way at which you treat them folks, the way at which the system is run. The system is run to favor some people and, you know, and not to the other people. And what do you expect people to do? What do you expect someone whom is being humiliated because of the way at which a person is, or someone who is being discriminated because of the color of my skin? Like, what do you expect from that person? How do you want that person to feel? Racism is just everywhere. It is in the medical field, is in the industry, be it movie, music, or thereabout. Like, this is just the way at which the system is run, and it's affecting everything. Like, knowing and unknowingly, you can actually be racist towards someone. When this person calls you out as a punk color person, you just come out to cry, oh my god, I'm being called out because I am a white person, so they just assume that I'm racist. No, it's all depend on the way at which you treat people. It doesn't depend on that. Nobody is going to call you or get angry if you are exhibiting a character that does not warrant discrimination. Nobody's going to be angry if you are flying your flags or whatsoever you want to fly without trying to be racist about it. Like, nobody's going to call you racist if you are not racist, if you don't have those characters, or if you don't have the character of racist. So nobody's going to call you a racist. This is just one thing some of these pan colored people don't understand. They think that people enjoy it to call you out or to say that you are racist. No, nobody enjoys doing that. It all depends on the character you exhibit. It all depends on how you treat your fellow human being. That's how these people will just address you. You cannot be all sweetie, sweetie, and loving, loving, and not being discriminatory and not being racist. Then people start calling you out, or people get angry when you want to celebrate yourself, your culture, or whatsoever. Nobody, like, same person can do that. You know, same person can do that. Okay, let's take for instance, there is this video I stitched, I think it's about a month back. This lady who happens to be a black lady, and she was like, she delivers parcel and she got to a certain house and she was supposed to deliver a package. Then on getting there, she saw a pan-colored woman, and this woman was like, "What are you doing here?" She was questioning her and asking what she was doing. Her kind of person was not supposed to be there. But this woman, this black lady, was actually doing her damn job. She's a delivery person. I think she works with Amazon or something. She was like, "I'm here to do," and she started screaming, "You have to get out, you have to do this. People like you," like things like that. Things like that makes people to believe that, oh, okay. So what do you call things like that? Those are the little things that, especially this older one, because the video I stitch, it's actually this elderly people that does the most. And when these elderly people does that, the younger ones will pick it and they'll think that is something that is normal and common. Then generation to generation will not be even able to fight racists anymore. Like, seriously, nobody is upset if you want to fly whatsoever, celebrate whatsoever you want to celebrate. It all depends on how you do it. And this also has to do with cultural appropriation. Okay, so many, pan-colored people complain that, oh my god, black people don't like it anytime they put on their hair. Meanwhile, black people are wearing braids and all of that. It's not as if people that looks like me don't like you to put on braids or cultural appropriates whatsoever. It is your hair. But the thing is that you people are so, these colonizers, they'll braid the hair and name it Vikings. You people do not invent hair. You like things like that. Things like that. Those are the things that you do really need to look into. Nobody is. It's just that you guys are just known for your collectivity. You're known for your colonization. You're known for, if they give you space, like if they give you a yard, you look for a mile or a very big one. That is just the problem people have with it. It's not as if anyone is upset if you want to celebrate. Do whatever you want to do, but don't try to be a king colonizer. Anyway, lovelies, wanna just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please don't forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So, lovelies, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.
Think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So, lovelies, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.